How's your day been?
Polonic seems to be down.
Yeah, most likely. They've been having issues. I put a tweet out like 2 hours ago saying they still have connectivity
I
issues.
hope I hope my money won't get lost. I just transferred some ripples.
Nah, you'll be okay. You're not margining anything on there right now?
No.
Okay, that's good.
I just transferred.
Okay.
So which exchange do you prefer?
I threw a link up in general so you can see my screen.
Okay.
I mean, I used to prefer Poloniex, but I mean, I'm getting more attached to Bittrex now. It's just the only reason I didn't go on Bittrex so much is because their charting's not very good. Like their user interface is like not very nice to use, not very user friendly. But if you link your Coinigy, you can link your API through Coinigy and make trades through there. Makes things easier and cleaner on Bittrex. Also, they have a way more
What
coins to choose from.
what is coinage?
Send you a link. It's just like Coinigy is like a trading platform that links all your you can link all your API keys together and trade from that, and it like got a lot of different charting tools and things. If you see the
Oh,
YouTube page or the YouTube link I sent, so you can see the screen.
yeah.
You see the screen? Yeah, this is Coinigy. Like you can check all your different. Probably put my glasses on here so I can see the top screen. Yeah, so you got all the different exchanges. Got Kraken, Liqui, Poloniex, Bittrex. Where is that? Up there. Let's use Bitfinex for
Oh,
now.
this is not free.
It's free for
For
trial, like
yeah,
one
for
month
30
trial.
days.
Yeah, and like if you don't feel like you've got any use, it's like $20 a month to sign up. But if you don't feel like you've got the use out of it, you can just sign up a new account and just make a new account with a new email address, and you've got another 60 days or 30 days trial for it. But yeah, once you find like it's been more useful for you, then just pay for the sub. Things become easier. Like if you want to link API keys and stuff like that, it's $20 a month. Pretty good, pretty worth it. All right, let's see here. What was one of your questions? One of the interesting questions you had. I think I copied them. No, I didn't. Scroll up. You're asking about. Paste this here. You're asking about. Where's this one? Is there a daily trend of up and down in general? Yes. It's like a market cycle. It's called. So you've got a bear market and a bull market. Bull market means generally we're going up, so we'll have higher highs and higher lows, and we'll make new all-time highs. Now, let me show you like graphically what that means. Let's go to 1 year. Okay, so new all-time highs, right? And we're in a if we're, this is probably this line here. Let me draw this trend line. Could probably draw it about here. That's not completely accurate, but we'll use that for now. So on the left-hand side of that line that I just drew,
Uh,
I'll let YouTube
I,
catch up.
I don't know. I don't see. What I see is my questions. You copy paste.
Yeah, I just put them into our PM so I can read it. I'll read it out anyway, so you know which question I'm talking about. Number
So
three.
you're now like sharing the screen or something?
Yeah, you see the YouTube link I sent is like it just shows you my screen. It's just a live stream, so you can see my screen. Did you have that page open so you can see what I'm doing?
No, no. I just see this.
What do you see? In general, chat in the Discord, I put a link to the YouTube stream, and then you can just watch my screen from there and see what I'm talking about. Like easier to show these things graphically than just explain verbally.
Okay, no, right now on I'm seeing private chat with you.
Yeah, so go to, I'll send you the link in private chat, hang on. Okay, click on that link and open that one
Ah,
up so you can see my screen.
okay. Okay.
Okay, you see that? Alright, so
Yeah.
see that line that I drew there? That's pretty much the line for what's called a bear market. So the question was, is there a daily trend of up and down in general? And yes, but it depends on what the market conditions are. So like we go through periods of time of bear markets and bull markets. Usually it's if you think about stock markets, like you think about depressions and things like that where things get bad, that would be a bear market. And usually those only last for a year. Well, they usually don't last very long because people want inflation, right? But what a bull market means is higher highs and higher lows. And like how you define what a bull market is higher highs and higher lows. So in the past, we had, wow, I can't even see that color. Hang on, it's pink as well. Okay. Yeah, so as you can, the highest high we had before at this period of time was around this area, on the left-hand side of the line, and then we broke, and this will be like an all-time high. So when we break new all-time highs, it it shows you're in a bull market, which means you're trending upwards in general. Like overall, day to day, the whole market will be going up the way, if that makes sense. So that means like it's a bull market. And let me draw here, and then you've got new higher highs, and then this is your low point. Where we got another low point? Got another low point. Previous low point, right? Let's see all those lines getting
Okay.
drawn
But,
on.
but you don't know. You can't know when it's gonna tip and go
Yeah,
downside.
yeah. The tipping point is after the fact usually, but like you try and anticipate. So if you hit like an all-time high, right? All-time highs become think of like a big milestone for that particular currency. So every time after an all-time high, people get scared and start to sell off. So you see this kind of movement coming downwards on the blue line I just drew, and then you'll see like, and then what usually comes after that is somewhat of like a bounce back up to support levels. Let's see, draw a trend line, horizontal line. There, sticker format. There we go. So you can see that. So on the left-hand side of the main pink line, you can see like we're in a bear market, right? So if we've got this one here, this is a higher high and a higher low, and then again it goes you've got an all-time high here at the very on the wick and also on the normal candle, right? So that's a confirmation, basically. So you see this, and then later on you see this, you're like, okay, we're definitely in a bull market because you got higher highs, higher lows. So you can go closer and do it like on a smaller time frame as well, and then you can derive from that, be like, okay, we're in a bull market, so that means that we're going to see new all-time highs, new higher highs, and new higher lows. Like everything generally trending upwards, right? So you have to basically look how the market's going and if it's going up or down. And then on the right-hand side, which was more recently, like the past 2 months or so of that right line, we've got lower highs and lower lows than previous highs and lows. So you're just oh, that's a bad line. Get rid of that. And then you can see this resistance line here, and we didn't break all-time highs. So technically, with that in mind, we're still in a bear market because we've got still higher highs, higher lows, and we haven't broken the all-time high of last time. of the last bull market. That's probably the easiest indicator and the biggest indicator to make it more simple would be we're looking for Bitcoin to break its all-time high. And that would confirm that we're back in a bull market, and that means we're back continuing climbing upwards every day. Would be like the simplest way to put it. Like in between that, you've got higher highs, higher lows, lower highs, higher lows. But like at the very basics of it, you want to break an all-time high. Once you break that all-time high, you realize, like when you break it again, you realize we're starting back down here again. Get rid of this thing. Okay, so if you think of markets like a cycle, right? Like every market goes in a cycle. It's like just like a loop. So when we're down here, it doesn't look as. I should zoom in here. So when we're down here, this is in the past. So we can look at this and be like, okay, what's let's say this is our all-time high at this point in time, just for example. So we've got an all-time high there. Then we broke our all-time high there. Draw a line. And we broke it again. So we know for sure we're in a bull market going upwards. And we broke it there, we broke it there. We had a bit of a correction, bit of a dip. Keep going, come back up, new higher high, new higher high, new all-time high, new all-time high. You see that, like all the progression all the way through, even going back, it's always a new all-time high, right? The peak is always higher than the last peak, which means we're going upwards, we're in a bull market, and that will spread out to almost every coin. That will spread out to every, because Bitcoin is like the base for all of these coins, all the other altcoins. So if you see that this is happening again and again, it means we're in a bull market and everything's going up. And then you can see on this smaller time frame that we're generally only coming down. And then even when we came down, we had our dip, and then even on our peak up, we didn't break the all-time high from last time, from the bull market. So we're still in a bear here. But you can see from the past that we're in a bull market and we're going up. This is higher than the last peak. This is higher than the last peak. Higher than the last peak. So you know what I mean? Like it's like going upwards. It's just a way to quantify like if we're generally going upwards or generally going downwards. And that's how you know daily. Are we gonna generally go up throughout the day, or are we gonna generally go down like over a longer time period? Obviously, like day to day, there'll be peaks and troughs in between. You know, like volatility. People buy and sell throughout. 10, 20% up, down, whatever that may be. But overall, it'll be downward trending. And that's what we're still in at the moment. But we're looking like we're about to break out into a bull market again, which is upward trending. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course.
There. So from looking at that and looking at what I said, what do you think? Like, what do you think we're in now? Or like, what do you think is coming? Do you think this is going to get broken soon? Like this all-time high here, and we'll see a higher high, which would be, I can't even zoom in that far. Do you think we'll see Bitcoin at around this price up here somewhere? Because that would be a new higher high.
Yes. I don't know. I personally am somewhat skeptical about Bitcoin. Don't kill me right now.
No, not at all.
Like 99% people would kill me of saying this.
No.
But I don't know. This fork was actually very interesting for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting for all of it. It was incredible how it happened.
Yeah. But we will see. Time will tell, right?
Sure will. But what's concerning you about the fork that happened? Because the fork's basically finished. Like, what's your concerns about it?
No, not the fork. The fork was actually good. Smart people made a lot of money.
Yeah.
In a couple of hours, yeah. But what I'm concerned is actually it's growing so fast. It's so big that transaction times are getting longer and longer, and I don't know. We're gonna wait and see if this squid 2 is gonna
Yeah.
Uh,
All right. So clarify for me, what is getting longer and what transaction times are getting longer? Is it Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash?
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. Right. So the reasoning for this fork was exactly that reason. Or the reasoning for, like, yeah, basically what happened was for that reason. Transaction
Yeah,
costs were getting too
but
high.
yeah, yeah, but the thing is that this fork,
Yep.
like if we say in layman terms, okay,
Yep.
like this update of let's say software,
Yep.
okay, or blockchain or whatever, is actually the new version is Bitcoin Cash, not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the old version.
Ah, no misconception.
How?
Bitcoin Cash is
Yeah,
not the new Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash is. Are you familiar with Ethereum?
yeah.
And are you familiar with
I know it. I know. I
ICOs?
know it. I know that when Ethereum um, made a fork,
Yep.
that it was made Ethereum Classic, but
Yep.
Ethereum Classic was the old Ethereum, and
Yep.
Ethereum is the new Ethereum, right?
Yep. That's
But in
correct. Yep.
Bitcoin, from my standpoint, what I know is upside down. Bitcoin is still Bitcoin,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Bitcoin
Completely different.
Cash is the new Bitcoin. It's completely different.
All right, let me explain. So, Ethereum first, I'll explain that fork was not planned. It was, and it wasn't for increasing the network. It wasn't for a good thing or anything. It was because of a hack that was found in Ethereum Classic, and it was getting exploited and blah blah blah. It's like a long story of why that happened. That's why
Yeah,
Ethereum changed from Ethereum Classic. Now, Bitcoin didn't do that for that reason. There wasn't a hack. There was no like, oh no, something wrong has happened. We need to fix something now. That was what happened with Ethereum. What happens with Bitcoin is it's been about, I don't want to put a number on it, but it's probably about 6 month long period of time between the miners and the community and the developers discussing on what they should do to improve the problems that you were just talking about of transaction times, transaction fees, like being really slow. So for the past, it's probably the past 3 years actually, but we'll just say for the past few months, that's what they've been discussing. Now, they couldn't come to an agreement. Everyone couldn't come to a full agreement on what to do. Bitcoin Cash, which is via BTC, they said they believe that the way Bitcoin should go is increase the block size from 1 megabyte to 8 megabyte. Now, as you know, like if you just increase, like if you have a hard drive, right? Your hard drive fills up, you increase it. You have a 1 megabyte hard drive. You run out of space, right? So then you say, okay, do I go and then I'll just increase it. I'll just increase the space. I'll just add another 8 megabytes. But then you run out of that space, right? So what happens then? So that's basically what Bitcoin Cash said. They don't agree with SegWit. They don't want SegWit and Lightning because that's off-chain scaling, which they don't agree with. So what they went and did is basically they made their own coin, and they just said, well, we don't agree with the consensus because like 95% of people agree with SegWit and agree with that's a good thing, and they said, well, we don't agree with that, so we're going to go make our own coin, and we're just going to copy Bitcoin,
yeah,
change it over to change the things that we want. They take out SegWit. What they do is they remove SegWit. They increase the block size to 8 megabytes. They also add a difficulty multiplier, so their difficulty gets lower. That's like a technical thing, but it doesn't really affect anything. It doesn't affect users. So like just their block size gets bigger. Really, that's pretty much all that happens. They take out SegWit and they increase the block size. That's all they do. And the majority of people agree and know that that's not enough. That's not going to be enough to help Bitcoin get where it needs to be. It's not going to, for the long term, it's not going to, well, even the short term, it's not going to decrease the transaction fees. So the fees are still going to be high, but the transaction times should be faster for now. But eventually, Bitcoin will get to the point where it needs to change again on their system. The BCC will need to change again because eventually that 8 megabytes isn't going to be enough anymore. But the reasoning
exactly.
behind it is so they can make money. They get transaction fees, so they want high transaction fees. When SegWit activates on original like true Bitcoin, then transaction fees will return to be minuscule, and the miners don't want that because they don't make money anymore. They don't get the transaction fees anymore, so they've gone and created Bitcoin Cash. That makes sense?
Okay.
Everything like fit in?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Nice.
what Bitcoin is still Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still, motherland, mothership kind of thing. It's just basically an ICO came out. This other coin said, hey, we don't agree with what Bitcoin's doing, the direction it's moving in. We want to do it a bit differently. So let's just make our own coin and we'll mine it and we'll support it and we'll develop it and that's our own coin now, just like an ICO or like a Dash fork. Like there's so many different Dash masternode forks out there. If you know about the Dash space, that it's just a copy of the coin that they change and do it the way they want to do it. But Bitcoin is still Bitcoin, and everyone seems to agree that Bitcoin is still moving in the right direction that it should be, because what SegWit um, gives us access to things like Lightning, and with other coins that have SegWit, like Litecoin and DGB also have SegWit. We can redo a lot of technical things that we were never able to do before, and transaction times speed up dramatically, because basically, if you think of like a big anchor chain, like with big thick links on it, and those links are like, this is Bitcoin, right? This is Bitcoin's chain. Think of a big thick anchor chain, and then on top of that is SegWit or Lightning, and it's like a thin chain, right? It's a thinner chain that can weave in and out of that big thick chain, and it can interact with that thick chain and remove the unnecessary data from that thick chain and make it lighter, so that thick chain can fit more transactions in it, and then just have this one running on top of it that makes it faster. So it takes the burden off, like a backup generator, not a backup generator. Give another way to say it. Yeah, just the chain analogy is all I can really think of to explain it. It's like a
Okay.
like a program running beside it, like a program running beside Bitcoin to make Bitcoin better. It's off-chain scaling, is what BCC's argument was. They don't want off-chain scaling, if that makes sense. But it just basically decreases the transaction times and decreases the costs way down to reasonable amounts, and the network becomes a lot faster. It's a massive technological improvement in Bitcoin, and that's why we've wanted it for so long, or like the most majority of people have wanted it for so long, but it's been held down and delayed because not everyone agrees, and because it's a blockchain, everyone kind of has to agree, and yeah, it ended up in being a fork, which it is basically just an ICO. So Bitcoin is still Bitcoin, nothing to be worried about that, and um, Bitcoin Cash is only so expensive right now because all of the exchanges wallets are locked down. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
Like you can't transfer Bitcoin Cash at all, so that means the supply is limited, but demand is stable, right? So supply and demand basics. If supply increases and demand stays the same, because there's nothing to increase demand when the wallet's open, like demand to buy the coin won't increase at all, but supply will dramatically increase, then price will come down. So
Yeah.
price will, like, whether it flash crashes or bottoms out or goes to $1 or $100, no one can really say. Personally, I think it's come down to about $1, $10 once supply increases. It's like
Of
floodgates will be
course.
open kind of thing, once that happens.
Yeah, everybody will sell it, of course.
Exactly. Yeah, everyone's like, yeah, free money, I can finally sell it. Sell, sell, sell. Price goes down, 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 until eventually it will find its support levels, just like every other coin. Every other coin has its day. It pumps up for whatever reason. In this case, it being limited supply and a lot of hype. So that's why it's up right now. And limited supply allows you to really control, manipulate a market. Like if supply is so limited to the point where it's only one or two exchanges that are supporting it, you can really manipulate that and hold the price up, um, however much you want to. You can prop the price up whatever you want it to be, really, until that supply influx comes, and everyone's just going to sell. Free money. It's a coin with no use case. No one's using it. It's just an ICO, really, an ICO of Bitcoin.
Okay.
Is any of that
Yeah.
too technical or anything you want me to clarify
No, no,
about
no.
it?
It's good. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Let me show you something on screen here. just to explain a little bit about Bitcoin Cash, how it works. Okay. Wait for my YouTube to update. Okay, so you see that you see this website I've got open here? It's called Blockchair.
Yeah, it's I got some delay, so yeah, I will see it.
Yes. I'm just watching the stream to make sure it's I'm not
Okay.
talking too far ahead. So this is Bitcoin Cash blocks, right? This is what is getting mined right now with Bitcoin Cash. Their biggest block was for like Bitcoin. I'll first say Bitcoin has the biggest block in Bitcoin is 1 MB, and Bitcoin Cash had their first big block here, which is 4 MB. It's only half of the total size, but you know, no network traffic and whatnot. It's 4 MB, right? So we can go into that transaction. Oh, do I even need to? No. So I don't even need to go into that transaction. For that 4,000 megabyte block, which is half the size of the total, it took, let's see what time it was. Show me times. Yeah, see here? We've got times. Like these are hours apart between blocks. I'll say Bitcoin has 10-minute blocks. Every 10 minutes, there's one block passed through, like by the miners. Bitcoin Cash, you're looking at hours, at like long time. Well, sometimes like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours between blocks. So that means if you send a transaction now and you need 6 confirmations, it'll take like 3 days for your transaction to go through. Like worse than a bank, because you need
Yeah.
6 blocks to confirm that transaction had gone through, right? And then if you look at the price of this big 4 MB block, you can see they made just in fees for that 4 MB block was $2,000. Oh, 2,000 USD is or 5.4 Bitcoin Cash. It says BTC here, but it's actually Bitcoin Cash that it's calculated. So it's a lot. That's still super expensive, and it doesn't fix the problem. You know, like that's why it's called BIP 148. It's called a user-activated self fork, because the users say, "Nah, miners, this is ridiculous. Like, we don't want to pay so high fees. What's the point in that? Like, we can fix this. Why should we pay such high fees? You're already getting the Bitcoin for mining it. That should be enough for you guys. Like, us users shouldn't have to pay you get the miners extra just for doing the transfers, right? So as a user-activated soft fork, all the users, well, most of the users got together and rebelled, I guess, against the miners and said, look, this is what we want to do. And that's like the beauty of blockchain, you know, everyone's involved, everyone can vote, you know, it's all transparent, people can vote on what they want, and the majority wins. It's quite cool. It's not like the real world at all. Like the majority will always win no matter what, and everything's transparent. You can see everything that's happening on the blockchain. You can see what Bitcoin Cash is doing. Like, sure, there's like background stuff going on, but for the most part, it's fairly transparent. That's what I love about crypto. Let's see, what else did you say here? If Ethereum or any other compared to Bitcoin goes up, BTC compared to USD goes down, does this mean that ETHUSD actually goes down and not up? Yes, it does. Let's explore that. So Ploniax. Okay, so let this. Where's my YouTube? Yep, my YouTube just needs to update on where we're at here. If the YouTube looks delayed, just click live, the little live button, and it should be red. Also, make sure you mute it if you haven't already. Otherwise, you hear our voices twice.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so yeah, like, it's two different things. Usually, like, coins will follow Bitcoin because everything is priced in Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin to whatever coin is like the most prominent trading pair. So Bitcoin controls most, say like 98, 95% of alts and other coins. Because Ethereum is still considered an alt. It's still sort of an altcoin. So it will follow. So at like what happens is Bitcoin goes up if it if it goes up too high, then you'll get fear missing out people. So what they'll do is they'll pull their money out of altcoins and put it into Bitcoin, looking to try and get like a catch the increase, right? But usually, if Bitcoin is high and then it moves sideways, at a stable rate, then alts will start to pump after that because Bitcoin's increased in value. So then alts will come up to also increase in that dollar value, but the Bitcoin price will stay similar, if that makes sense. Like the dollar price will stay similar. They also move. And then let me show you. Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin is probably the best way to explain it. So Litecoin is silver and Bitcoin is gold. So it's doesn't work in traditional markets, but those are usually perfectly uncoupled. So if Bitcoin goes up, Litecoin goes down. If Bitcoin goes down, Litecoin goes up. It's almost a perfect hedge. However, most coins, if Bitcoin goes up, alts also go up. If Bitcoin goes down, alts will hover around the same Bitcoin value because the dollar value hasn't changed, or go down. Like it depends on the specific market situations. But in general, if Bitcoin goes up, alts go up. Like overall. Was that what you were asking, or did I misunderstand some of it?
Well, an example, okay?
Yeah.
Let's say that Bitcoin in last 24 hours was down for, I don't know, 5%.
Okay.
You are trading with altcoins, so that are tied to Bitcoin.
Yep.
And let's say that you it doesn't really matter which altcoin, but if you make 3% plus, but Bitcoin went down 5%, that means that you are 2% in minus.
Yeah, okay. So you're meaning if Bitcoin goes down in dollar value, but you're plus in your Bitcoin to altcoins, say you start with 0.1, let's just say you start with 1 Bitcoin, right? And then during the day you're trading, and Bitcoin's at $2,800. You're trading, and now you're trading between Bitcoin and altcoins. You now have 2 Bitcoins, right? Let's just say, just for example. So you've done trading, you've now got 2 Bitcoins. However, it was $2,800 here, but now it's worth, say, $2,500, right? So you'd have to say it's about $1,000 in order for a loss. So you've come out about break even, or actually you've come out at $800 loss, right? But you're still holding 2 Bitcoins. So your Bitcoin value is the same, just your dollar value is different. And then that's when you have to go along. You have to think about the lines of, pull this chart up again. Where are we on here? Because this is your Bitcoin. Like when you're trading, and as a cryptocurrency, like I guess a cryptocurrency evangelist or a cryptocurrency enthusiast, you would say you trade to increase your Bitcoin holdings. Like you trade between altcoins just to increase your Bitcoin number. Like you don't need to look at the USD number unless you're cashing out, because the only time that USD number matters is when you're trading into it. Right? So if you were to say, oh, Bitcoin is at $3,000, that's great for me, I'm gonna sell it, and then it drops to 2005, then you buy back at 2005, right? You've just increased the number of Bitcoins that you hold.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so you want to, like the mindset you want to think about is not increasing your dollar value, but increasing your Bitcoin value, like how many Bitcoins you have.
Yeah.
Because overall, and over the past, Bitcoin has gone up. Like in general, over years, over months, Bitcoin's always up, all the way. Sure, it has dips now and then. Sure, we go through periods like down periods, but you don't have to sell there, so you haven't lost anything. You only lose if you sell. Same with altcoins. If the altcoins go down, you still hold that asset. It's the same as a stock, right? If you buy a stock at $10, it goes to $5. You still have the stock. It's just worth a different dollar value at that point in time. Maybe in 3 months' time or whatever, it goes up to $20. It doesn't just because it went to $5 in the meantime doesn't mean you've lost 50% until you cash out, until you sell it. You still hold that asset.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks. This really changed my mindset.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad.
So, but what do you think about everybody's for Bitcoin? But is there a I don't know, is there a possibility that something would happen? Um, I don't know, governments would
Yeah.
prohibit or ban or I don't know,
Yeah.
something so that
Yeah, it's
what
very
will
real.
happen then?
It's very real. The regulation, the fear of or the uncertainty of regulation and government stepping in is real. Like it's completely real. But at the same, okay, so I'll set this first. If it happens to Bitcoin, it happens to all altcoins, right? Bitcoin is
Yeah.
still the mothership. This what I'm saying now doesn't affect Bitcoin being the mothership of all altcoins, right? But in regulation, different countries have a different way of handling it. Like for example, Venezuela. In Venezuela, Bitcoin is illegal,
Oh,
like completely illegal. It because they've got currency controls, things like that. Now compare that to Japan. In Japan, Bitcoin is legal tender. Like you can use it every day, like everyday life, every shop, shops and banks and all this kind of thing, except cryptocurrency, because it's a legal. It's just like a dollar, right? In Japan, a Bitcoin is just like a dollar, and that's the direction they've chosen to take with it. In in China, they are concerned because China have currency controls where they're only allowed to transfer 50,000 US dollars per year out of the country. Now, that is their government's way of protecting their currency. It protects their currency base against other currencies, and they've got a bit upset because people could change Chinese yen into Bitcoin, and they seen that as, or they could see that as somewhat of an attack on their currency, if that makes sense.
of course.
So
Yeah, of course.
so they're trying to, but they also understand, it's not, it's an improvement. So they're trying to regulate things. Like it's a brand new, it's like trying to regulate the internet, right? Or trying to regulate a car, right? Remember, like the industrial era. Like, how do you write laws and regulations for a car, or roads, or road signs? Before those things were common and natural. Like people, regulators need to, the great minds need to sit down and think about how best to regulate the the area. And so far, it looks
Yeah.
promising. So far, everything, at least the Western world anyway. So far, the Western world has been quite welcoming to Bitcoin, and from what I know, and it's moving in a good direction. The only places that the government or government entities have tried to interject is like points of safety, like ICOs, for example. The SEC got involved and said, look, we're going to start regulating ICOs because it's affecting people and people feel like they're losing money. So, excuse me, what most likely happened was some people got bought an ICO or bought something, bought a coin or whatever, and they lost money on it because it was a scam or it just went down or for whatever reason. And then they've probably gone and complained to the regulators and say, hey, you guys are regulators. You're supposed to be protecting us normal people who don't understand these things and don't research these things possibly enough. So they complain to them, and then they're like, all right, well, we better step in here and do something. You know, that was the
Right.
SEC like standpoint, I would presume. But then you've also got IRS, right? The IRS was asking for a John Doe summons on Coinbase because they were worried and concerned that people were using Bitcoin for money laundering and tax evasion and all these things which the IRS don't like, right? So if you're using Bitcoin and following like fairly reasonable regulations, you pay like that everyone else has to follow because that would give an unfair advantage to the space. Like you pay taxes, you got capital gains, you pay taxes, you you don't, you're not like laundering money or anything, like you're not like involved in drugs or illicit activities. That's all they're trying to like because that stuff is easy to do with cryptocurrency, and they're trying to just they're just trying to regulate that. They're just trying to stop things that are already illegal from being easier to do, and like they're just trying to avoid that from happening for the most part. But yeah, sure. I mean, one government could come in and just say straight out like just straight up ban it and say it's illegal. But at the same time as that, like they can't really do that because it's blockchain, it's Bitcoin, it's global. If one like in Greece, for example, when they were having their problems in Greece, then like Bitcoin was the only way for them to really transact daily because their currency was, non-existent to a point. Like Greece was having so many economical problems, and like seeing documentaries and stuff on what was happening with Greece and how Bitcoin just really helped families and helped people like have a store of value and a way to transact with each other when the euro doing wasn't anymore what it used to be. It's
Yeah. Well, in my mind, the Bitcoin is so big and so spread out all over the world that
yeah.
if some big government like US or China would ban, I think it would be like end of the world.
Well, for one, they won't ban it because they're too smart to do that. If they were going to ban it, they would have done it by now. I mean, there's plenty of other ways they can gain control and maintain control of certain things if they choose to do so. Like straight out banning something is not in their best interest at this point in time because, like you said, it's so big, it's so widespread. There would be a rebellion. Like people might go and use it specifically just because like governments don't like it, right? There's better ways to get around, and there's better ways to create regulation and things. Like governments aren't, like, for the most part, they're not all bad or like trying to be all bad. They're like, for the most, on the surface at least, they're trying to help people for the main point, and like set regulations for people that might take advantage of people that aren't in the space. Like uh they did the same with the financial industry. Like like to give financial advice, you have to have a license. You have to banks have to go through like rigorous testing and all these sort of things. They have to apply to they have to not apply. They have to comply with regulations, and regulations are there to help people, like stop people getting scammed, stop people losing money. For the most part, regulation is there to protect people and stop companies and people with more money and power than the average person, stopping them being taken advantage of. That's usually what regulation is for. Tax is a different thing. Tax is completely different, like completely different story. But regulation, I mean, regulation can be a good thing. And like in Australia, for example, the regulation is very positive. It's you can for mining, for example, you can every mining expense you have is written on the Australian Tax Office website. That is considered a taxable yeah,
Deduction.
it's a fully tax deduction, like 100%
Oh,
of your mining. Like actually is says mining Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies is fully tax deductible, and then the tax that you pay on the Bitcoin itself is only paid once you change Bitcoin back into AUD. So it's capital gains, right? So it's like full, like I mean, and then they also have like grants and things for innovation. You can ask the government for like different innovation grants and financial technology grants. Like overall, the government and the world it wants to move forward, and like regulation is a good way to even like show like to investors, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. These are the regulations, and this is how I'm following them. Right? If I just said this is what I'm doing and there's no regulations, right? It
yeah.
feels more weird to like normal people. It's like, okay, well, what are the rules? Like, what rules do I have to abide to? Like people are like, not even rules, but a set of instructions. Like, how do I conduct myself in this business, right? What is,
Yes.
and then keeping everyone on the same level because, some people might take like trying to keep everyone on somewhat of a same regulatory level so people
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
other people that get too big don't get too much of an advantage. over like people that are just trying to make it kind of thing, and like on not less educated, but just less aware people in the market, like stopping those people from getting taken advantage of so much. And like the biggest example of that I can give is financial markets, when like you would know like the 2008 housing crash and all these kind of things, and then all the regulation that came in to try and stop that from happening again. Those kind of things. It's a real risk and it's a real concern, but from what we've seen so far, it looks to be okay.
Okay, so what is your prediction
for
for Bitcoin?
For price?
Yeah, for price.
Like
you think it's gonna go, the value is gonna go up and up and up and up and what?
Yeah, well, even like think about supply and demand, like basic, think about even gold or silver or oil or any of these things, right? They have a use case, for one. Bitcoin has a use case, and they have a supply and demand, right? So Bitcoin supply is limited. There's a limited circulating supply and a limited supply of people that actually are willing to transact or trade or sell their Bitcoin. So supply is limited, and demand is, would you say demand is growing or declining? Would you say more people know about Bitcoin or less?
Of course.
Yeah, so more. So demand is increasing. So if supply is the same and demand is increasing, then the only possible thing to happen to price is to go up because of those rules, like simple basic rules. So if demand were to go down, then price might go down. But supply being limited is a like important factor. Like supply on Bitcoin is completely limited, and there's no way to change that. Like it's built in. It's like impossible to change. Well, not impossible, but yeah, fairly impossible to change. So yeah, like I mean, for an actual price, you could say anything. I mean, McAfee, McAfee, the antivirus software.
Yeah.
Well, he came out and said on Twitter, he whether it was a joke or not, but he said on obviously Twitter or live television, one of the two. He said if Bitcoin is not $500,000 per Bitcoin in 3 years, he will ingest his own phallus on television. His own penis on television. He ate it. That's what he said on Twitter. Right? Pretty much everyone I've spoken to think that's a bit, too high. Like that's way too high, and everyone's looking forward to seeing that happening on television. But like our worst case scenario, like looking at it before and looking at base trend lines, Bitcoin's been around for 8 years, right? It's not going to go anywhere. Just in the last year, it's really exploded because of mass adoption, mainstream media, I mean, things that are happening in the real world. So it's gotten a lot of popularity in the last year, and that's driven price up because, again, supply is limited. And I don't see that stopping.
Okay, that's a good thing because, okay, the price of the value of Bitcoin will go up.
Yep.
But what do you think? What something will have to happen when because more and more people are buying Bitcoins. Okay.
Right. Yep.
I'm totally new to this cryptocurrency world. I just
cool.
Couple of weeks. So I'm I'm no expert, of course not. But people that know me and we talk, we go to coffee and so like now crypto. No, I don't know nothing. But yeah, let to buy some Bitcoin for me because I don't want to register. And it's like people really want to like invest not a lot of money, but some money into Bitcoin.
Yep.
I mean,
so
what will happen if because if you trade money for Bitcoin,
yep,
that means that money is less and less and less and less it's gonna be worth,
yep,
right?
Yep.
I mean, there will be a time that will, I don't know, something will, I don't know what.
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on. That's what happens. And supply of money is increasing because they print it, which is
Yeah,
inflation. You know money inflates itself, and that's the two ways governments get income is inflation, printing money, and taxes, right? So
yeah, right.
those are the two ways that governments make money. Like they have to keep printing money, and inflation has to keep happening for them. And we've been in a bull market for the past 8 years, I think now. Usually, a bull cycle only lasts for 5 years in the stocks and the real world, right? So we're
Right.
expecting a crash fairly soon, and I think that's why Bitcoin is getting like so much more popular because people are seeing this. People are seeing jobs getting lost, jobs being difficult to come by, poverty being high, healthcare being expensive and or possibly not even available. And they're seeing all this happening. They're seeing like price increases. Like a loaf of bread used to be what 20 cents, now it's $2, right? It's inflation.
Yeah, of course.
So people are, yeah, they're flooding to Bitcoin. They see it as it's constantly going up. It's a gold. It can't be messed with. Blah blah blah. Everything we know about it. So yeah, eventually something will happen. Eventually, like, you know, don't really want to like, tinfoil hat too much into it, but eventually something will have to happen.
Okay.
But price should continually should keep going up. Also because of what you just said, right? So like, there's people are wanting to change their dollars into Bitcoin. They don't want dollars anymore. So the demand for dollars is going down, whereas the demand for Bitcoin is going up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're living in interesting times. A lot of interesting things will
Oh
happen.
yeah, definitely. Definitely technology is changing very quickly. Like you can see all these different things that are coming out. You've got AntShares doing incredible things. AntShares talking about making deals with Chinese governments and um like smart contracts. You've got people making new browsers. You've got Steam, which is a cryptocurrency powered Reddit, basically. Like things are getting taken over. Think like and these, it's like Internet 2.0, Internet 3.0, I suppose. 2.0 already happened. This is 3.0, right? I mean, and it's moving quickly. It's very fast. Like we just seen an article earlier. I don't know if I'll be able to find it right now. I seen an article earlier that the Winklevosses or the Winklevi. Are you aware of them? The whole Facebook thing.
Yeah.
Well, they opened after Facebook and that went down. They opened up a Bitcoin exchange, the first and probably and biggest Bitcoin exchange in America, called Gemini. Now, Gemini has tried several times to get. Here we go. I think I found it. No, that's not it. Gemini has tried several times to get Bitcoin as options, right? So it's like Bitcoin backed options, Bitcoin and dollar backed stocks. Now apparently they just got approved for that a few days ago. They got rejected the first time, and now they're working with some other large company to to get that happening. So things are moving quickly. I mean, when you start to have Bitcoin options and things of that nature, I mean, things start to move quickly, and more mass adoption comes in, and like excuse me, we're still in early adoption phase. It's still fairly early adoption. Like you can look at, let's go, a good comparison to look at is look at the Bitcoin market cap up here, right? This is not completely accurate right now because this isn't. Oh wait, it has to load up on YouTube. They've highlighted there the market cap at the top.
Yeah.
It's $100 billion, right? 100 billion.
Yeah.
Now, about half of that is in Bitcoin, a little bit more, and then the rest is split out to other alts and cryptocurrencies, whatever. That 100 billion market cap's a little bit inflated right now because Bitcoin Cash it's not accurate. It's not accurate at all because like the price is too high for one, and the circulating supply is also false because that's not actually circulating right now. It's all locked down because of there's no exchanges, so that price is completely inflated. Those numbers are inflated by no fault of the website. It's just how it's working right now. But yeah, so the market cap's slightly too high, but that's 100 billion. Let's just take 100 billion and then think about one company, one US company like Apple, for example, right? Let's see. How much is Apple? How much is Apple worth? See if I can find a total worth. 1 day ago. Total worth. Total worth.
800 billion.
That's what I was looking for. It's not here, but yeah, it's a total worth of one company, right? However big Apple is, right? Apple is huge, right? But at the end of the day, it's just one company. It's 8 times the whole cryptocurrency space, and all they do is make phones, right? Pretty much, like phones, laptops, whatever. It's just one company, right? It's crazy. Think about, like, that's just one company. And it's 8 times bigger than our whole space. Like, it's huge.
And what it's so in cryptocurrency we have the market cap is 100 billion. What's the complete supply?
Complete supply of Bitcoin?
No Bitcoin. Bitcoin, we said it's no Bitcoin, but like euros and yen and dollars.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't even want to think about that number. That's like some astronomical, unfathomable number to me. I mean,
So crypto world is what do you say? 10%? No, 2%.
less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like minuscule
okay.
compared to like. Well, think about like, put it in back to terms of like more fathomable terms of 100 billion market cap, right? Compared to 800 billion and Apple, just Apple, right? And
Yeah.
we just finished saying that cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is worldwide, it's global, it's everywhere. It's Italy, Bangladesh, Bangkok, China, everywhere, right? Apple's not. I don't think Apple is absolutely everywhere. It's most places, but not Kazakhstan, possibly, right? But Bitcoin is in Kazakhstan. I don't know if that's true, but like an example. And they're
So
huge.
that, but this actually mean that now I actually it all makes sense right now to me that actually Bitcoin could be one Bitcoin could be worth
Millions.
like yeah in
Millions.
I don't know 10-20 years
Yeah. I don't know, like for
like
sure,
one
if we'll get to
Bitcoin.
that point. Yeah, one Bitcoin, $10 million for a random number, right? It's ridiculous. Like, I, I can't fathom those numbers, and I can't fathom like that being a possibility, but it could happen. Like on just taking like those few facts together and stuff, like those few things and putting those together, then yeah, like $1 million Bitcoin, like what McAfee said, 500K in 3 years. Like he's looking at the same thing we're looking at right now, and he's like, wow, okay, whatever came up in his head, he said 500K in 3 years. And adoption's getting quicker. It's exponentially moving. It's moving faster and faster all the time. This year exploded from 700 $5 to $700 we started at 12 or so months ago. Yeah, 12 months ago it was about $700. Now we're at a peak of 3,000. Like wow. Over the past 7 years before that, it gained $100 a year on average. So from year 1 to year 7 for Bitcoin, $100 a year, which is great. That's amazing growth. That's incredible. But
Yeah.
from just this last year, 1 year, from 700 to 3,000, I mean, the the growth curve or the growth rate has definitely changed a lot. And I think that's due to mainstream media, and like I don't follow politics. Like I follow politics, but like I don't have an opinion. But if you think about Trump getting in this year, and then You know, like things, people are uncertain because Trump is something different. Trump is, I'm not saying right or wrong or whatever, but he's different, right? We can all agree Trump is different and Bitcoin is different. You know, I'm not relating the two at all. I don't like, you know, but I'm just saying people want something different.
Yeah,
And you
of
can
course.
see that, you know, like the American people voted for it. They want something different. They don't want the same stuff over and over anymore. They're, you know, sick of it. Want something else. And Bitcoin is something else compared to dollars. It's completely different. So it's quite a interesting time. Sorry, what else? What else did you say about? Is this predictable? Yeah, I don't, we've been over, kind of been over that. Like you can do TA, like technical analysis and stuff like that, but when you're looking at long term, basically, like I've spoken to people that just, you know, they just invest whatever they can at the end of the month, end of the week from their wage. They put it into Bitcoin. They've been doing, or Bitcoin or other alt currencies, and they've been doing that for a couple of years, and they're quite happy with their portfolio. They're happy with like how their portfolio has grown, like over the past, especially the past year. If you got in this a year ago, you know you'd be laughing from 700 to 3,000 in a year. It's crazy. You would never see those gains anywhere else in the world ever. Well, up till now. And that's also a big reason why people are so scared of it. Because it's like, what is this? What is going on? I don't understand. This is ridiculous. This is unfathomable. You know, it's because it is. It's completely crazy, but it makes sense at the same time. It's funny. Like sometimes the most crazy things, like the truth is the most crazy thing. Sometimes,
Yes.
like you just couldn't make up a story like this. You couldn't just all of a sudden make up like a fairy tale story or anything. It's, you know, it's just too unrealistic. It's ridiculous.
Okay. Uh, well, I think this is it, right? You answered
Yeah, sure.
more or
Like,
less all my questions.
did you
Yeah.
have anything else you wanted me to ask
Uh,
about, talk about?
no, no. This was great. This was perfect.
Yeah, cool. Like, anytime you have any other questions you wanna add in, just let me know and we'll try and like schedule a time and I'll show you and like try and graphically explain. Did the graphics help? Like, did the having seen on the
Yeah.
screen being able
Yeah.
to show?
Yeah. Of
Yeah,
course.
cool.
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, no
So
problem.
thank you very much, man.
No problem at all.